Just a question on the RIAI alignment with the first stages with the LDs.
No, we will be doing a guidance document on that. We want to put it in as part of the BIM execution plan because we could be working on a DCC contract of any version, and also you could be working on maybe bespoke systems. So we'll do it as a separate guidance document. But it's what needs to happen, I suppose, is it needs to be driven by the employers' sort of decision points, what they need, with the stages on the project, and looking at the information exchanges when they happen as well. So I think it needs a guidance document to show how it could be done. We'll give it guidance in as well on the common profit stages that are being used. Yeah. So it's in the point line.
Do you have a timeline for when we're looking again at the
Timeline. The next, we're working on them in the next few months, and I think the plan would be, certainly by the start of the summer to have a lot of information out. I think that would be the general plan. Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Got one here at the back, and then we have Ralph. Just say your name and your organisation to us.
It's Daniel Matthews, Blackmore. I suppose for what but possibly more for Bill. It's to do with the ISO and timeline for the BS becoming an ISO document, and sort of when do we see that coming down the line, or when is that coming?
Yeah, I think the problem with trying to give a date is it's very difficult in terms of understanding how what international standard bodies are going to approve. We're hoping to have a sort of committee draft, which is a draft version that will be reviewed and approved by each standards body by the end of this year. And then really, based on other sort of ISO standards that have gone through a similar route, it can take a year, sometimes 2 years. However, we're quite optimistic, given the support. This is more of a pull from the standard bodies saying what is essentially a British standard into an international standard. So far, the indications have been very positive. A lot of standard bodies have been very supportive in that transition. So we're not anticipating a great deal of resistance. So I think the date that was sort of targeted there is probably this year. But as I say, we'll go to everyone who's
Just wondering, is there any other national standards given to the IS, or is it mostly on the BS?
The decision by the task group is to, it's quite unique to go from a publicly available specification up to an ISO. Normally it go as BS, BSEN and ISO, and we're sort of skipping quite a lot of stages due to this sort of pull. So rather than spending money and time updating the current versions, we decided to put all the time and effort into developing the ISO. So for example, BS 792, BS is a 5-year lifespan, so it's already going past its date for review, but there's a clear decision not to, on the basis that we'll put all the effort into the ISO.
We have a question from Ralph here in front.
What we're seeing is a lot of sort of one-liner film requirements in the documents that we want them to test their own to. Do you think it's a big mind shift for clients to realize that they actually have to ask for information?
Yeah, it certainly is. The term informed buying gets banded around quite a bit. There's probably 2 points on that. One is the government construction strategy is actually a strategy for government and the client. So it's not a strategy or a mandate on the supply chain. So it's a mandate for the ministries within the central government to actually improve the way in which they go out and ensure data about their assets. Obviously, this impacts the supply chain because they need to prepare in response to those templates. So government as a client, essentially you've got till next year to start procuring in this way. The other thing, it's a point that we're trying to communicate now, because a lot of the questions around what I haven't received in the AR. When we talk about clients, we talk about the big client or the actual asset owner. In the standard, the term employee was used. So quite often we're trying to turn that question around to a lot of tier ones, because although you're tier one and working for the client, you then become the client when you actually engage tier twos and your consultant. So the owners then knew that those activities that I said, they need to go through every contract. So as tier one, you need to define your employees' information requirements. Your subcontractors need to develop the future plan. And then that gets filtered down to tier twos, to tier three, all the way down to the product manufacturers. Obviously it'll be short end, and those requirements from the client will distill down through the contract structure. But at some point everybody is a supplier and they become a customer. So you can't always point the finger at the actual asset owner.
Just following on from that, we have a major construction project taking place in the North City of Dublin. And the client has asked for level 4 BIM. Could you explain what level 4 BIM is?
No, it's probably just the short answer.
You typo, that's it.
There is. Yeah, I think generally we're not trying to second guess. I think typically what they're looking for is what's coming down is for the or the addition of time. But there is actually a level 4 term which is being associated with the social aspects of the asset. Now, I wouldn't really promote that too much on the basis that we really need to get script level 1 first, have level 2 in the back of our mind, and let sort of the thinkers think about 3 and 4. But yeah, it depends. I wouldn't have thought it was just working on the social aspects.
Okay, maybe one other question, then we're going to set up the panel, and then there'll be further opportunity to ask the speakers again the questions. Yes, Kathy, and then Paul, sorry.
I'm Paul Brennan with BAM, and I also don't feel like I'm picking on you now.
No.
I heard from a few colleagues last week in the UK that the government are going to start an auditing process to make sure, as John said, that the depth of level 2 has been achieved in 2016. That's not just, a nice quoting. Can you maybe elaborate on how do you think to proceed with that?
Sorry, can you just explain the question again? You heard the government?
I from a few colleagues there in the UK last week, we were talking about how the government needs to put some sort of an auditing process in place that during 2016 that depth of compliance on projects that are into level 2 compliance can be actually determined. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know. No, there's nothing in terms of what's potentially in the pipeline. What I can tell you is what my understanding is. In terms of funding for level 2 and the task group that runs out in March or next month, level 2 will be what's known as legacy. Will be handed over to another organisation, which is yet to be who they will be. So we don't know beyond what the task group isn't being disbanded, but the work in which they're doing will be transferred to another organisation. In terms of certification, the task group and Mark Hughes that might have been quite clear in the sense that the government will not put in place any sort of certification around BIM. What I'm mentioning in the slides really is around these are business processes, and there's already an audit process procedure under ISO 9001 to do that, and so they're very clear that's not in the pipeline. There are organisations who are developing potential audit certification criteria that organisations may want to use. However, they're not from the task group. I think a lot of the confusion has come from what I call PAS 91, which is a pre-qualification specification, which suggests that if your organisation is certified, then you get a buy-in to the next round and don't have to answer all the questions. We've sort of had to live with that since it's published. There hasn't been, and never arisen to be a certification that will get you through the pre-qualification for PAS 91. So I'm not sure where you head about it, but we can maybe have a chat.